Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's HBCU Game Day, and it's a special day here. This is like the 2.0 version of our studio existence because this is the first time we have a production from our new studios in Atlanta. Now, Atlanta's not new, but this studio is. And so, who am I going to break it in with? Who is the maiden voyage going to be? You already know. It's Uncle Neely from the pregame show. Uncle Neely, I could not have done this without having you a part, man. I got the Jackson State helmet. I got you in the monitor and the logo. Look, we're doing it, man. We're doing it together, Neely.
Hey, man, if you got to have a first, it's got to be Neely. It's got to be Jackson State. So I don't think you could have christened this USS HBCU Game Day studio with a better bon voyage than having Uncle Neely to talk about Jackson State and what we're doing under the leadership of Coach Prime, giving you guys an update on where we are from summer 1, summer 2, now fall camp, et cetera, et cetera. So, hey, Tolly, I'm glad to be your first guest in the new digs.
Well, look, Neely, it's been a long day for you. You are what champions are made of. You're going on what, about 10 hours on campus today with the scrimmage and meetings and everything. It's been a really big day. So we're going to let you get some rest, man. But first, we got to jump into and find out what happened in today's scrimmage. This was scrimmage number 2 of fall camp for JSU, right?
This was. Today was scrimmage 2 of fall camp. And, last week we had the first full pad scrimmage, which was open to the public. Fans could come out and look over the fence, lean on the fence, if you will, and get a glimpse of the Tigers from a side of the track that surrounds the turf field. And today was scrimmage 2. I would think, Tolly, if you looked at it last week, that clearly the defense had the upper hand in scrimmage 1. But I think the offense made an adjustment today. And if you had to pick a winner in a scrimmage, which is sometimes difficult to do, I think the offense won today. So it's 1-1 with 1 weekend to go before we head to Miami for that Orange Blossom Classic.
So that has to be pretty encouraging because it was a rest day for Shedeur Sanders today, right? He didn't get any reps in the scrimmage. So for the offense to come out with what you're calling a win today, that has to look pretty good.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it bodes well for offense coordinator Brett Bartolone and making some adjustments from that first scrimmage. One thing that Coach Prime preaches to these guys, and they preach to their players and their units, that it is compete, compete, compete. They go at it. Dennis Thurman is not, letting up because that's a colleague on the other side. And Coach Brett is not letting up because that's a colleague on the other side. Iron sharpens iron, and those guys really do game plan against each other, battle it out. But then they meet after with Coach Prime to show how they were able to do what they did so the other people could make adjustments. So I think that week since the first scrimmage, the offense got in the lab, if you will, and tinkered with some things. And you saw better results from the running game today as well as the wide receiver core.
I noticed with Coach Bartolone, man, he has turned up the intensity. When you guys do that thing, what do you call it? Around the block. Around the block. I wanted to say around the square. Around the block. He was getting at him pretty good early in the week.
Yeah, people like to assume that he's a calm guy, with a laid-back demeanor, which that is true. But when it's football time, as he says, it's football time, and he knows how to fire it up and get after it out there. And, last week he was not too pleased with the offensive performance after the scrimmage, and you can tell his motivational talk at the end 7 days later with this scrimmage really made some results. Because the offense stepped up today, man. They were flying around. The receivers looked great. The running game looked good. The offensive line was strong as they tinker with that and see what that second unit mix up and matching is going to be like. So I think the offense got the nod today, but there's one more next weekend, which really would be, that final preseason game, if you will, much like the NFL does, when you're looking at the 2s and the 3s specifically to see who's going to land where on that depth chart. So I don't know how much interaction the 1s will get next weekend, but there's going to be a lot of emphasis on 2 and 3 units to see who moves up and who makes that plane ride to Miami, because you got 115 or so on this roster right now, but only about 65 are getting on American Airlines and headed to Miami.
Neely, I'm looking at what FAMU is doing. I'm paying attention. They're still signing some dogs on their roster. I know they got that taste in their mouth. They really want to win after last year, it being such a close loss and everything that's on the line. Of course, they got to deal with UNC before they even get to before they even get to Jackson State. But man, the energy that it's building around this game, man, like it's going to be. This might even be better than last year.
I think it will be. I think that everybody went into last year knowing as an assuming what the game would mean to have these two Eastern Division opponents and how that would shake out into the SWAC standings at the end of the season. Coach Prime told us recently as we sat down with him in his home here in Mississippi, he told us that Coach Simmons told him prior to kickoff last year that this game is essentially for the SWAC championship. And that's what it ended up being. You know, Jackson State didn't lose another SWAC game, and FAMU didn't lose another SWAC game, but they weren't able to mathematically catch up. So we go to the Celebration Bowl and they go the playoff route. And you're expecting the same thing this time around, that these are the two teams who are powerhouses in the SWAC, and they face off week one for us because, as you said, FAMU is playing in week 0 against North Carolina. So we'll be their second game. They're our first. You know, we get to watch a little TV and do some scouting on them for a week and see how they come out of that game. But I think, Tyler, that once again, the winner of this game is going to be in the driver's seat for the SWAC championship.
I think I have the same wishes as probably you and everyone else, man. I want no injuries out of that UNC game. Look, we know that's a FBS Power 5 matchup. FAMU's probably not going to win. I mean, we hope that they do, but chances are they don't. I just don't want anybody hurt because when FAMU and Jackson get together, I want both sides to be 100% stocked. I don't want any fan to have any excuses. Obviously, we don't want the kids to go through injuries, man. But it's ice cream for breakfast, Neely.
Yeah, those quote unquote money games are tough. You know, a lot of the programs are still in a position where they had to schedule those to kind of help balance budgets and things of that nature. And it's something that Coach Prime has just been adamant about, saying that he's not interested in doing here at Jackson State until we get this program where it truly can compete on that level. But, you know, we're in the SWAC and we're HBCU, so we're pulling for all SWAC schools and HBCU schools to perform well. There's going to be a similar situation when we get to Miami. You know, we play on the Sunday before Labor Day, but on that Saturday, Bethune-Cookman plays the University of Miami in the same stadium that the Orange Blossom Classic would take place in. But, you know, we get to get a look at FAMU week 0. We go down there to play them week 1. And I do believe, Talia, that it's going to be just like last year. The winner of that game is going to be in the driver's seat to carry the East and go to the SWAC championship.
You know, it's interesting. There's been some discussion this week about, you know, how Jackson State chooses to go about their business and who they choose to schedule and not schedule and staying on a schedule for where they want to be as a program. Personally, just asking you, Neely, do you like that kind of staying in your lane of competition as you continue to build the program and get all the pieces that you need? So then maybe possibly if you chose to try to up the ante on the schedule a bit.
Yeah, I trust Ashley Robinson, our vice president of intercollegiate athletics, our athletic director. I trust Coach Prime, our head coach of football, that they make the right decisions as it relates to scheduling and where our timing is and where we are competitively. You know, one of the things that we have to do is do what's in the best interest of our student athletes. And sometimes when you are forced budget-wise, or you think you're forced budget-wise to play those money games and you're not really doing something in the best interest of student athletes, I think that's something that all HBCUs have to start working and navigating away from. But in that same challenge, we also have to make sure that our alumni, our supporters, and our business relationships are doing the kind of fundraising activities that make it where we don't have to do those kind of games to right size the budget or make sure everything is balanced. So I like where we are as a program. I like where we're headed as a program. I like our scheduling as a program. And that doesn't mean you're running from somebody or hiding from somebody, because there are a lot of mechanics to the schedule. Just because someone wants to play you or makes an overture to play you doesn't mean it lines up with what you have going on for that particular season. So I think you'll see Jackson State grow in a manner under the current leadership where there are going to be some bigger and better out of conference games, if you will, in the future. But this year, the schedule is what it is, and we're going to play it. And we're not just going to play it. We're not just going to win. We want to dominate. You
sound like a coach, man. You sound like an administrator. Neely, when you're at practice covering things here for the pregame show, do you ever tell a player, hey, there's no walking on the field. You're in the wrong position? Has that slipped out of your mouth yet?
It does more than slip. I do it, and I'm encouraged to do it. Coach Prime tells everybody that's involved with this program, you see something, say something. So he doesn't like people kneeling on the sideline or bent over. So if I see a guy slumping, I say, hey, man, get up before coach sees you, or because he says there's no walking on the grass. We're out there on the field. You got to be running. You got to be moving. So you might call me Uncle Neely, but the guys around here start calling me Coach Neely or OG or Unc and those kind of things. So everybody that touches this program, Tolly, you have a positive impact on it. The guys embrace you. So we're all accountable to what we're going to achieve and accountable for what we don't achieve.
Do you hold Chuck to the same standard of not walking on the field?
Chuck has no standard. So it's hard to hold him to the not walking thing. When he's around, we make sure he gets a little pep in his step, though.
I love it, man. I just love the transformation, man, that I have seen in you. You have just become a coach, man, like Coach Neely, from Uncle Neely to Coach Neely. This has been a pleasure to watch. I'm going to have to make sure, man, when I'm in Jackson that I stay out of earshot. You might get on me.
I will get on you, Tyler, because you need coaching. You need to be coached up. The standard is the standard, and we don't negotiate down. We negotiate up. So I love the new studio. I love what you're doing. HBCU Gameday is growing. I would like to think that growth started when you and I started interacting. So, maybe I got a little bit to do with it, but I know my game is elevated because of Tolly Carr. And I think Tolly Carr's is elevated because of Uncle Neely. So iron sharpens iron is what we say around here at 1400 Lynch Street.
I keep it real, Neely. Jackson State, popularity of Jackson State, people's willingness to interact with Jackson State content might have purchased a light or two or three around our new studio. You can be mad about it. You can leave your comments in the comment section about it. But that is how the math has been mathing here the last 360, however many days. So I'm not mad about it. I just take advantage of what is put in front of me.
One of the last times we talked, I dropped a Jay-Z bar on you, so I'll drop another one. When he so eloquently said, back-to-back, double plat. Say what you want. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Just look at the numbers, and you will see where we are and where we're headed.
Yeah, y'all are killing the game, for sure. You are, and I'm just a neutral observer that might take advantage of it from time to time, but you guys are definitely killing the game. There was one last burning question. Okay, all right. So we got to keep fans updated. You cannot have a segment on Jackson State and not talk about the #1 player in the country that decided to attend Jackson State. We have a rule. We must talk about Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, and Travis Hunter every time we talk about Jackson State football. What's the latest with him? Is he still been resting up? What's going on with Travis?
Yeah, he's still resting up, still in good spirits. He will make that debut as scheduled down in Miami, and he is still on pace and still going to look to have the phenomenal season that everybody will assume that the #1 player in the nation is destined to have or capable of having. A lot of folks saw him at SWAC Media Day nursing a high ankle sprain, that kind of thing. But, when you have athletes of that caliber, it doesn't take them a hell of a lot of time and energy to get going. So he's on schedule to participate as planned this fall. Same thing with Shedeur Sanders. Same thing with Coach Prime. Everybody's health needle is pointed up and ready to go. And this team as a whole, has made it through summer 1 and summer 2, and now 2.5 weeks into fall camp. Knock on wood, pretty much injury free. So, we look to go into Miami with everybody ripping and ready to go on the health wise. So, it's just a matter of just staying the course. We are now less than 2 weeks away before we depart, to Miami. So this is the time where you're running out of time. It is the season is here.
MIA, Uncle Neely. Uncle Neely in Miami. I can just smell the cigar right now. Like, I can literally. If I just close my eyes, I smell the cigar that you'll have in Miami. Are you taking your own private stock? Are you gonna mix it up with the locals? What is your cigar plan for Miami?
I always travel with my own private stock. I always travel with my own humidor, and I think ahead, and I have a cigar for this mood or this type of evening. So there's going to be a smorgasbord of cigars in my humidor that we're going to just get to enjoy on those evenings in Miami when the dust settles as we get ready for game time. So yeah, Tolly, I travel with my own.
All right, you're going to be in South Florida, man. I know we can't say everything publicly, but you, a Cuban cigar, what are we thinking something there, Neely?
No, we're thinking about winning. And we're not just thinking about winning, we're thinking about dominating. Last year's victory was 7-6, and we were happy that we got out of there with a win. But Coach Prime has said the mantra for this year is not just to win, but it's to dominate. The plan is to go undefeated, is to not lose a single game. But in that process, the plan is not about cigars or Cuban cigars down in South Beach. The plan is about going down to the Orange Blossom Classic and leaving no doubt when we leave there that this team is better than the team last year, and it has dominant players capable of playing at the next level.
All right. If I see you, I'm snitching, though. I'm just going to let you know, big bro. He is my man from the pregame show, Uncle Neely, letting us know about Scrimmage number 2, getting ready for MIA, Orange Blossom Classic. Neely, thanks so much, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Always a pleasure.